The moment I opened that text message, I realized my marriage had just exploded, while I was still holding my son's juice box. My name is Cassandra Bell, and the last normal moment of my life ended in the preschool parking lot, with a crumpled drawing of a dinosaur in one hand and my phone in the other. It was a Wednesday. I remember because my son, Max, had show and tell that day. He brought his little plastic astronaut and insisted it had been to the moon twice. I was half laughing, half arguing with him about whether macaroni counted as space food when my phone pinged. I expected a message from my husband, Trent. Maybe a question about dinner. Maybe a reminder to pick up dry cleaning. But what I saw instead nearly made me drop the phone. Moved to Barcelona with Claudia. Transferred the savings. You'll figure it out. Good luck. Just like that. No warning. No goodbye. Not even an emoji. My heart stopped. I reread it, thinking maybe it was a cruel joke or a wrong number. But no. Trent. My husband of 8 years. Father of my child. The man who had just evaporated from our lives mid-afternoon like he was skipping a dentist appointment. Max tugged my sleeve. "Mom, you forgot my juice." I blinked, trying to focus. My hands moved on autopilot, juice box, seatbelt, cartoons on the iPad, while my brain screamed in white-hot panic. We had $36,000 in our joint savings last I checked. It wasn't much, but it was everything. Emergency fund, Max's preschool tuition, next month's rent. Every penny we'd built together through late nights, freelance gigs, coupon clipping, and sacrifice. Gone. Just gone. I dropped Max off in front of his favorite cartoon and locked myself in the bathroom. My fingers shook as I logged into the bank account. Balance, $8.43. All of it vanished. Transferred to an offshore account under a name I didn't recognize. I called the bank. "Yes, ma'am, the funds were transferred yesterday. Since your husband's name is also on the account, it's a legal withdrawal." Legal? Sure. But was it ethical? Human? Anything resembling decent? I hung up and collapsed on the floor, knees hitting tile. Claudia. I barely knew her. She was Trent's project coordinator, whatever that meant. 26, perky, impossibly confident. I'd met her once at a company barbecue. She wore heels in the grass. They were in Barcelona now. I was still sitting on the bathroom floor when the doorbell rang. It was Janet, my landlord. "Cassandra, just a heads up. Rent's due Friday. I know you're always on time, but the notice says you're a week behind." My stomach dropped. I plastered on a smile and lied. "Yeah, I'm on it. Just a mix-up. It's all good." But it wasn't all good. It was crumbling fast. That night, I checked the mail. A certified envelope waited for me. Divorce papers, filed 3 days ago. Trent had planned this. Weeks, maybe months in advance. A full extraction mission. He'd cleaned house, drained accounts, disappeared, and left me to explain it all to our 4-year-old. "Where's Daddy?" Max asked over dinner, his spaghetti untouched. "He's on a trip." I lied. "Will he be back by Saturday? We were gonna build the space fort." "I don't know, buddy." He nodded, like that answer made sense. It didn't make sense to me. The next morning, I called Trent's office. "Trent no longer works here," the receptionist said. "He resigned last Friday." Friday. That meant when we'd gone to the zoo that weekend, and he'd kissed me on the forehead in front of the elephants, he'd already handed in his notice. He'd already planned his escape. Every moment we'd shared for the past few weeks had been a lie. I called his best friend, Marcus. "You knew," I said flatly. There was silence. "Cass, he swore me to secrecy. He said it was better this way." "Better for who?" I snapped. "For Max? For me? He emptied our accounts." "He said you'd land on your feet, that you're tough." That hurt more than I expected. Trent had weaponized my resilience. I started digging. I went through his desk. Found a credit card bill with a 5-star hotel in Madrid. Hotel de la Luz. Dated last week. He was already there before the text. He'd sent it while sipping sangria on a rooftop. That night, I emailed an attorney I found through a support group for blindsided spouses. Her name was Elena Vega. She wrote back in under 10 minutes. "This is serious. Come in tomorrow." Elena was sharp, calm, and didn't waste time. She flipped through the papers I brought. The text, the bank statements, the rental agreement. She nodded like she'd seen this all before. "He's created a false narrative," she said. "That you're financially dependent, unstable, unfit." Unfit? He cited emotional instability in the divorce petition. Claimed he feared for his son's well-being. I stared at her. "Because I cried the day Max had his first fever?" "Because you're the one left behind," she corrected. "They'll use anything." "Elena, he stole everything." "We'll get it back." Her voice was iron, and for the first time in 48 hours, I breathed without shaking. She filed emergency motions, asset freezes, support demands, custody protections. But we needed more. Proof he was working overseas. Proof he had hidden money. Proof he was running, not surviving. I remembered he used the same password for everything. Max's birthday and the word rocket. I took a chance, opened his cloud drive. The password worked. What I found made my skin crawl. Documents labeled Plan B, Custody Timeline, Asset Strategy. Emails between him and Claudia discussing residency loopholes in Spain. But the worst, an email draft to Trent's mother, Anita. "Once we're settled, I'll file for sole custody. Cassandra's anxiety after Max was born is our key angle. Claudia agrees. No one in Barcelona needs to know the truth." He was going to erase me. I forwarded everything to Elena. She called me at midnight. "We have him." I hung up, tucked Max into bed, and sat quietly in the dark, staring out the window. He thought I'd fold. He thought I'd break. But Trent forgot one thing. I don't go down quietly, and I never, ever lose when my son is on the line. The morning after I found Trent's custody timeline, I barely slept. I brewed coffee I didn't drink, stared at a to-do list I didn't remember writing, and watched Max stack Legos like the world hadn't just collapsed beneath us. He hummed as he built a rocket ship. "This one's gonna go all the way to Jupiter, Mom." I kissed the top of his head, pretending I wasn't about to go nuclear on his father. At 9:03 a.m., I was in Elena's office, laptop in hand, with every document I could print, screenshot, or export. "This is damning," she said after 10 minutes. "Email threads, password logs, financial trail, all in your possession, all legally accessed. He used your household network. He didn't even cover his tracks." I was shaking with something close to excitement. "So what now?" "Now we play offense." She filed motions with the court to freeze every joint asset, subpoenaed international wire records, and issued an emergency petition for full custody, pending investigation. But we both knew the real challenge was tracking Trent's money. "He's funneling something," Elena said, scanning his transactions. "These Spain withdrawals? They're staged. He's making it look like he's struggling." "But he's not," I said. "You saw that hotel?" "We need someone close to him, someone he trusts." That's when I thought of Zoe, Claudia's old roommate. Claudia once brought her to our place for dinner when her car broke down. Zoe had a sharp tongue and sharper eyes. She always struck me as the kind of woman who noticed everything and didn't mind spilling tea when pushed. I dug up her number, texted, "Zoe, it's Cassandra Bell. I need your help. It's about Trent and Claudia. Please." She called back 5 minutes later. I've been waiting for you to ask, she said. Zoe was fire. She told me everything. They've been planning this for at least 4 months. Claudia's been bragging for weeks about moving to Barcelona with her soulmate and how his wife was too dull to fight back. I thought it was delusional. I didn't think he'd actually do it. He did, I said. He left us with nothing. Zoe hissed. She mentioned something about an account, hidden somewhere offshore. Said his mother helped set it up. I think the bank started with an L. Liechtenstein? I guessed. That's it. Claudia joked about it being so secret, even she couldn't see it. Can you get more? Zoe paused. If I message her, she'll get suspicious. But I still have access to her old emails. She never logged out of the shared laptop. My breath caught. You can get into it? I can try. Give me 24 hours. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at Trent's wedding photo, the one where he kissed my forehead while holding Max in his arms, and felt nothing but steel. He'd underestimated me again. By the next afternoon, Zoe delivered a PDF of Claudia's forwarded emails, bank communications, apartment leases, even a message to Trent confirming the offshore account details. Zoe's last message. Hope you roast him. Call me when you win. With Zoe's evidence and the cloud documents, Elena assembled a dossier that would make any judge's blood run cold. We filed for an emergency hearing. The judge granted it without blinking. The next bombshell came via email, a message from Trent's attorney. Mr. Bell is willing to settle. He offers $5,000 and waives all visitation. In exchange, you agree not to pursue further legal action. I laughed out loud, then forwarded it to Elena. They think you're desperate, she said. They want you to fold. Then let's flip the table. The day before the hearing, I got a text from an unknown number. Stop this now or you'll regret it. Don't drag my mother into your mess. Trent. He still thought I was afraid of him. He still thought I'd crumble. Instead, I screenshot the threat and sent it straight to Elena. Thank you, she replied. That's Exhibit B. The morning of the hearing, I walked into that courtroom not as a grieving wife, but as a mother with receipts. Elena opened with facts, bank withdrawals, offshore accounts, proof of employment in Spain, despite Trent's claims of unemployment. Then came Claudia's emails, Claudia's lease agreement, Claudia's own words. We'll start fresh without the baggage, read aloud to a silent courtroom. But the final strike was the custody strategy Trent had drafted himself. When the judge saw the phrase, use Cassandra's anxiety to discredit her, she held up her hand. I've heard enough. Her ruling was swift. Emergency asset freeze. Temporary full custody granted to me. Child support order issued immediately. A motion opened for international enforcement to recover stolen funds. But it wasn't over. Because that afternoon, I got a call from the HR director at the company Trent worked for in Spain. We received an anonymous email from someone claiming to be you, she said. My heart stopped. They provided details about Mr. Bell's custody case and urged us to terminate his contract. We wanted to confirm, was this you? No, I said immediately. It was not. She hesitated. We believe you. The tone didn't match your other communications. We forwarded it to our legal team. I asked her to send me a copy. When it landed in my inbox, my hands started to tremble. The sender had used my name, quoted from documents I hadn't shared, and attached files that had only ever been inside my apartment. Someone had stolen my identity. Only one person had been inside my home since Trent left. His mother, Helena. She had brought me a casserole 2 days after Trent vanished. Said she was checking on Max, but she hadn't touched the food. She'd wandered the apartment, used the bathroom, left early. She'd been looking for something and she found it. That night, I printed everything and filed a police report. Identity theft, interference with a court order, malicious intent. Elena was already drafting new motions. The next morning, Trent called me. "You crazy," he started. "It wasn't me," I cut him off. "It was Helena. She impersonated me. She cost you your job." He hesitated. No, that's not possible." "Look at the attachments. They were in my drawer. You think Spain is going to protect you when I drag her into court for international fraud?" Silence. Then, "I'll call you back." He didn't, but Elena did. "New motion ready? We're hitting them with everything." This wasn't just about money anymore. This was war. 3 days after Trent's job crumbled and Helena's fraud came to light, I knew exactly what kind of enemy I was dealing with. Not just a runaway husband, but an entire family willing to burn the truth just to keep their narrative intact. That morning, Elena called me first thing. "The judge approved our motion. Helena is now officially part of the investigation." "Good," I said, dead calm, "because she's not done, and neither am I." Sure enough, that afternoon, my apartment buzzer rang. I checked the camera. Helena. She stood there in a tailored coat, clutching a paper bag like she was delivering muffins to her favorite niece. I didn't answer. I just watched. After 2 minutes, she pulled out her phone and typed something. My cell buzzed seconds later. "Let's talk. You don't want this to get worse." I screenshotted the message, filed it under threats, and sent it straight to Elena. Later that day, I got the bombshell that blew the whole scheme wide open. Trevor, Trent's old college buddy, the one who always didn't want to get involved. He called me out of the blue. "I feel like crap, Cassandra," he said. "I kept quiet too long, but I know something you need to hear." I didn't breathe. Trent mentioned another account, not the one in Liechtenstein, the real one, the fallback, hidden so deep even Claudia didn't know. My voice dropped. "Where?" He hesitated. "The Isle of Man, set up years ago. Helena helped him. She knew a guy from her charity board. The money's been moving there for months." "How much?" I asked. "At least $200,000, probably more." He called it his clean break fund. I thanked Trevor, then hung up and called Elena instantly. "We've got him. A second offshore account, a witness, and motive," I said. "Perfect," Elena replied. "Because tomorrow, Helena's being deposed." That night, I barely slept. I didn't feel scared anymore. I felt focused. I gathered every printed document, every email, every receipt. I wanted the full picture laid out, ready to crush them with their own paper trail. The next morning, in a quiet, sterile conference room, Helena arrived in full pearls and ice mode. She acted like she was at a brunch, not about to be grilled for identity fraud and conspiracy. "Do you understand you're under oath, Mrs. Bell?" Elena asked. Helena nodded once. Elena didn't wait. "Did you send an email to Meridian International impersonating Cassandra Bell?" I did not. "Did you access documents from Cassandra's apartment without permission?" I was simply visiting my grandson. "And you just happened to find confidential documents?" Helena's smile was tight. "Perhaps she left them out." I leaned forward. "They were in my locked filing cabinet, in my bedroom." She froze. For the first time, a crack appeared in her mask. Elena delivered the knockout. "We have security footage showing you alone in the apartment. The building logs your entry and exit. You stayed 11 minutes. Cassandra left 5 minutes before. Max was still at daycare." "So you weren't there for him, were you?" Helena said nothing. Elena pressed harder. "We have copies of the forged email. Metadata shows it was sent from your iPad." Same IP address you used to FaceTime Cassandra 2 days prior. Silence. You are looking at identity theft, obstruction of justice, and potential jail time. That got her attention. What do you want? She snapped. I stared directly at her. I want you to stop. Stop meddling. Stop lying. Stop trying to erase me from my son's life. You're not his parent. I am. Trent might be a coward, but you're dangerous. She scoffed. Dangerous? I was protecting my family. No, I said. You were covering your son's cowardice with crimes, and now he's dragging you down with him. Helena stood up. I'll speak to my lawyer. Do that, Elena said. We'll see you both in court. That afternoon, Jackie, the woman Trent had left me for, called me. She sounded shaken. I want out, she said. I didn't sign up for this. I almost hung up, but something in her voice stopped me. I know about the Isle of Man account, I said quietly. She gasped. So you didn't know? No, she whispered. He lied to me too, said everything was frozen, that we had nothing left. That's why I stayed. I thought we were stuck. She paused. Cassandra, he's been spiraling. I'm scared of what he'll do next. Then help me stop him. Jackie agreed. She sent me PDFs, screenshots of Trent's burner accounts, passwords, even a full transaction log showing over $215,000 moved to an account in a private bank on the Isle of Man. I gave it all to Elena. That night, we filed emergency motions to freeze the new account, compel testimony from Jackie, and add Helena to the custody case. Trent's attorney tried to call me. I didn't answer. Then came the kicker, a voicemail from Trent. I'm coming back. I'll fix this myself. His voice sounded hollow, empty, like a man trying to keep his world from collapsing. I forwarded the message to Elena. Next morning, I filed for a restraining order. We were ready. The moment his plane touched down, security was waiting. He didn't even make it to baggage claim. Handcuffed, served, summoned. The next morning, the courtroom was full. Trent sat across from me, disheveled and rattled. Helena was beside him, refusing to look my way. Jackie sat alone, waiting for her turn to testify. Elena presented everything, every stolen dollar, every falsified message, every offshore trick. Then Jackie took the stand. Her voice shook as she told the truth. Trent said Cassandra would break, that she wasn't strong enough to fight. He said no one would believe her, that he'd build a new life without baggage. She looked at me. But she didn't break. She fought. And now I see I was just another part of his story? The judge didn't even need to deliberate. Full custody to the mother. All assets to be returned. Supervised visitation only. And criminal referrals to the state attorney's office for Mr. Bell and Mrs. Bell. As they stood to leave, Trent met my eyes. There was no hate in his face, just shock, like he still couldn't believe I'd won. But I had, because he'd forgotten one simple thing. I was never just someone's wife. I was a mother, and I had everything to lose. So I made sure he lost instead. 3 weeks after the courtroom fireworks, my apartment finally felt quiet. Not the hollow kind of quiet that comes with abandonment, but the kind of silence that means peace. Max was on the living room floor building a tower out of cereal boxes. He called it the Justice Building. I didn't even ask. Somehow, he'd understood more than I'd ever told him. Meanwhile, Trent's world was collapsing exactly the way he thought mine would. News broke within days of the hearing. Former marketing executive accused of international asset fraud, identity theft, and abandonment. His name was on every local feed, every headline that mattered. But he wasn't the only one falling. Helena's country club friends found out about her charges. One by one, her social circle shrank. Suddenly, No one wanted to sip cocktails with the woman who had committed identity theft to sabotage her grandson's future. She called me once, left a message I'll never forget. "You ruined our family. I saved it. For court. For history." Elena and I met in her office the next morning. "The DA's officially pursuing criminal charges," she said. "And we just got confirmation. The Isle of Man account is frozen. $217,400 will be held pending final distribution." I leaned back in my chair, breathing out slowly. "That's everything?" I said. "Not quite," Elena said with a small smile. "There's one more angle." She slid a file across the desk. It was the forensic report of all Trent's financial activity over the past 2 years. Travel, gifts, property, payments to shell companies I didn't recognize. Buried deep in that file was a loan taken out in my name, without my knowledge. "What the hell is this?" Trent opened it last year, claimed joint spousal debt on a refinance application. He forged your digital signature. The man had committed fraud with my name before he even left. "And the money?" "Used to lease a property in Marbella. He never told Claudia about it either." I sat there stunned. Trent had built an entire alternate life before his disappearance. Accounts, properties, assets all in motion, months before that text. This wasn't just a sudden betrayal. It was a long game. Elena stood and looked me square in the eyes. "We have a strong case for additional criminal charges. Fraud, forgery, perjury. You want to press forward?" I nodded. "Every charge, every count. He doesn't get to disappear into another country and pretend he's the victim." Later that week, I got an unexpected call from Claudia. "I know I'm the last person you want to hear from," she said. "You're right. But I need to thank you." That caught me off guard. "He lied to me about everything," she continued. "Said you were unstable, that he'd never cheat, that he was just saving his son from a broken home." "And you believed that?" "I was 26. I thought drama meant love." She paused. "He told me once that you were predictable. Said that made it easier to leave." My voice was cold. "Tell him this. The woman he called predictable just buried him in federal charges without blinking." Claudia let out a dry, bitter laugh. "Good. He deserves it." She hung up. The day before our final settlement hearing, Elena and I met again. She had the numbers, the full breakdown. "You're getting back every cent," she said. "Plus restitution, plus back child support indexed to his salary. That means even if he hides money again, the courts will adjust automatically." "And custody?" "Full, permanently. The court approved your petition to remove visitation entirely. Max is safe." I felt tears sting my eyes for the first time in weeks. Not from sadness, but relief. "He'll never touch Max again," I said quietly. "No," Elena confirmed. "And he'll be lucky to see a clean credit score again, let alone a passport." Outside, I sat in my car and just breathed. Max would never know what it felt like to beg for stability. He'd never have to question where his next meal was coming from or whether his mother could hold it all together. We were safe now, but I wasn't finished. That night, I called Trevor. "You still in touch with the old gang?" I asked. He hesitated. "A few people." "Good. Tell them the truth, all of it. Let Trent watch the only reputation he has left rot from the inside." Trevor agreed. The next day, I received a job offer from a publishing company in Boston. They'd seen the legal filings. Somehow my story had reached them. They offered flexible hours, full benefits, and a position I thought I'd never see again: senior acquisitions editor. I called Elena to ask for her opinion. She didn't even hesitate. "Take it. You've earned every step of that ladder back." That evening, Max and I danced in our pajamas in the middle of the living room. I told him we were going on a new adventure soon. "Will Daddy come too?" he asked softly. I crouched down and met his eyes. "No, sweetheart. Daddy made choices that mean he can't be with us anymore. But we're going to be okay." He nodded. "Can I take my rocket ship?" "Absolutely." I smiled. "Jupiter's waiting." 6 months after Trent's vanishing act, I sat on a worn wooden bench outside the Cook County Courthouse, sunlight warming my face, court documents in my lap. The same building that once held the wreckage of my life now held the final stamp of closure. Inside those pages, permanent sole custody, full financial restitution, and criminal referrals on file for both Trent and Helena. Everything had come full circle. Max sat beside me, licking the remains of a strawberry ice cream cone, his little legs swinging in rhythm. "Are we done here, Mom?" he asked, mouth sticky. "Yeah, baby," I said. "We're done." But for Trent, the consequences were only beginning. The DA moved forward with fraud charges. The offshore accounts were locked indefinitely. Trent's face, once smiling in sleek LinkedIn headshots, now flashed beside the words, "Indicted for financial misconduct," across local news channels. Helena faced her own reckoning. Identity theft and conspiracy charges meant she lost her spot on 3 charity boards and the veneer of respectability she'd guarded like treasure. Neither had issued a formal apology. Neither had dared to face me in person again. Didn't matter. They were already ghosts. A week after the court's final decision, I signed the lease on a sunlit condo in Boston. 2 bedrooms, small balcony, walking distance from Max's new preschool. The publishing company that offered me the editor position not only honored their promise, but arranged part-time hours so I could ease back into full-time work without sacrificing time with Max. On our first night there, I tucked Max into bed beneath his new rocket ship comforter. The stars on the ceiling glowed softly. "Will people know our story here?" he asked. "No," I said gently. "Not unless you want them to." "Good," he whispered. "Then we can just be us." I kissed his forehead. "Exactly." Weeks passed, then months. We adjusted. We healed. I wore shoes again that weren't meant for courtrooms. I started reading for fun, not for evidence. I relearned how to sleep through the night without jolting awake to imagine disasters. The money returned slowly, one court-ordered deposit at a time. Enough to rebuild savings, enough to feel safe. Then, one Friday evening, I got a call from Jackie. "I thought you should know," she said. "Trent's leaving the country again. He's telling people he's going to reinvent himself in Bali." I didn't laugh. I just felt nothing. "Let him run," I said. "He always does." "He still says you ruined him," Jackie added. "He ruined himself," I corrected. "I just documented it." We hung up. Later that night, I posted one final update to my old Facebook account. A photo of Max holding a model spaceship, beaming in our new apartment, sunlight catching his curls. Caption: "Sometimes people try to erase you, but they don't realize you were made of ink, not pencil." Within hours, the post was shared across every mom group I'd ever joined. Messages poured in. Strangers thanked me for fighting. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years reached out to say they'd followed every update and were rooting for us all along. But I didn't need applause. The win wasn't public. It was quiet. It was in Max's laugh when he found a frog in the park. In the way I paid rent without flinching. In how I trusted myself again. Not as someone's wife or someone's ex, but as a woman who walked through hell and didn't come out empty-handed. A few weeks later, my boss at the publishing house called me into her office. "You ever think about telling your story?" she asked. "Not for courtrooms, for readers. You could help people." I smiled. "Maybe someday." For now, I had rockets to build with Max, manuscripts to edit, and a new life to live. And as for Trent? The last I heard, he was stuck in a border dispute overseas, his accounts flagged, his passport suspended due to pending legal proceedings. No assets, no identity, no allies left, exactly the way he'd left me. Only difference? I got back up, and I never let Max fall.